The Council Armada arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system with 35,000 ships. They had lost 15,000 along the way. Humans had made them bleed for every light year. But they were still the largest fleet in galactic history. They were still unstoppable, or so they thought. Captain Min-Ho Kim waited for them. The indomitable spirit hung in space at the system's edge. Next to it, 199 other human ships formed a thin line. 200 ships against 35,000. The math was simple. They would all die. "Incoming transmission," said Lieutenant Sohee Bey. "Put it on screen," Min-Ho said. High Admiral Thexmir appeared. He was a being of pure energy, crackling with power. "Human vessels, stand aside. This is your last chance. Move or be destroyed." Min-Ho looked at the alien for a long moment. Then he spoke, and his voice was broadcast on every channel in the system. "You want Earth? You'll have to go through every last one of us." "So be it," Thexmir said. "You have chosen death. I will make it quick." "That's more mercy than we'll show you," Min-Ho replied. He cut the transmission and looked at his crew. "All ships weapons free. Show them why you don't threaten humanity." The 200 human ships charged straight at the Council Armada. It looked like suicide. It was suicide. But they went anyway. Engines burning bright, weapons firing. The Council fleet opened fire. Space filled with energy beams and missiles. Human ships exploded left and right. But they kept coming. They were like wolves attacking a bear. Small, fast, deadly. Each ship that died took 3 or 4 Council vessels with it. Captain Jiho Nam's carrier, the Rising Phoenix, launched all its fighters. 500 small craft swarmed into the Council formation. They were piloted by volunteers who knew they wouldn't return. They crashed into enemy ships when their weapons ran dry. Commander Doyen Kang's shadow dancer appeared and disappeared like a ghost, each time leaving burning wrecks behind. His stealth ship was damaged. Systems were failing, but he kept fighting. Min-Ho watched his fleet die. One by one, the names on his tactical display went dark. His friends, his comrades, people he had served with for years, all dying to buy Earth a few more hours. "We're down to 50 ships," Sohee reported. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking. "Keep fighting," Min-Ho ordered. "Every minute we hold them is another minute for Earth." Engineer Taehyun Song was working furiously at his station. "Captain, I've got the surprise ready, but we need to get close to their flagship, real close." Min-Ho looked at the Eternal Judgment. The Council flagship was a mountain of metal and death. It was 50 kilometers long. It had weapons that could destroy planets. Getting close to it would be impossible. "Plot a ramming course," Min-Ho said. "Sir?" Sohee looked at him. "You heard me. Full power to engines. Full power to forward shields. We're going to ram that thing." The indomitable spirit turned toward the Eternal Judgment. Its engines burned brighter than stars. It accelerated faster and faster. Council ships tried to stop it. Energy beams tore at its hull. Missiles exploded against its shields. The ship was dying, but it kept going. "All crew to escape pods," Min-Ho ordered. "Abandon ship." "That's an order." "With respect, sir," Taehyun said. "We're staying. Someone needs to make sure this surprise goes off at the right moment." Min-Ho looked around his bridge. No one was moving. No one was leaving. They were all staying. They were all going to die together. "It's been an honor," Min-Ho said quietly. "The honor is ours, Captain," Sohee replied. The indomitable spirit crashed into the Eternal Judgment's shields. The shields held for 3 seconds. Then they failed. The human dreadnought tore into the Council flagship's hull like a knife. "Now," Taehyun shouted. He pressed a button. The secret weapon was simple. They had been carrying a fusion warhead. One single nuclear bomb. They had saved it for this moment. Taehyun had modified it. Increased its yield. Made it unstable. When it detonated inside the Eternal Judgment's shield envelope, the explosion was visible from Earth. The Council flagship didn't explode. It was too big for that, but it was crippled. Its engines were dead. Its weapons were offline. It spun out of control, trailing atmosphere and debris. High Admiral Thexmir survived. Barely. He dragged himself to a communication station and screamed orders. "All ships, push forward. Take Earth, now!" The Council fleet had lost 8,000 ships to Min-Ho's 200. But they pushed forward. They had come too far to stop now. They would take Earth or die trying. The remaining Council ships entered the inner solar system. They expected to find a terrified planet. They expected surrender. Instead, they found hell. Saturn's rings erupted with fire. What looked like ice and rock were actually kinetic kill vehicles. Millions of them. They launched at the Council fleet like a swarm of angry bees. Each one was just a chunk of metal, but they were moving fast, very fast. When they hit Council ships, they went straight through. Jupiter's moons opened up. Massive railguns fired from underground installations. Each shot could punch through a battleship, and there were hundreds of them. Mars wasn't even a planet anymore. The entire surface had been converted into a military base. Fighter craft launched by the thousands. Missile batteries fired nonstop. The red planet had become a fortress and Earth's moon. It had been hollowed out and filled with the biggest gun humanity had ever built. Admiral Hyun-Soo Lee stood in Earth's command center and watched the Council fleet enter his trap. "Dr. Choi, activate the gravity wells." "Activating," Yoonji Choi said. Her fingers flew across her console. Across the solar system, hidden devices powered up. They were gravity well generators, a technology humans had developed in secret. They created artificial gravity fields that trapped ships in place. Half the Council fleet suddenly couldn't move. Their engines roared, but they went nowhere. They were stuck. Sitting targets. "Fire everything," Admiral Lee said quietly. Earth's defenses opened up. The moon's superweapon fired. It was a magnetically accelerated plasma cannon. The beam was so bright it hurt to look at. It swept across the trapped Council ships like a sword, cutting them in half. "Council fleet is breaking up," reported Chief Tactical Officer Sunmi Choi. "They're trying to retreat." "Don't let them," Lee ordered. "Kill everything that moves. Show no mercy." The battle raged for 3 days. It was brutal. It was merciless. Humanity fought with everything they had. Every weapon. Every trick. Every last bit of hate and fury. On Earth's surface, young Min-Woo Park watched the battle from Seoul. His father had gone to fight in the outer colonies. His mother worked in the orbital defense stations. He was alone except for his grandmother. They sat together and watched the sky fill with fire. "Are we winning?" Min-Woo asked. His grandmother held his hand. She was old. She remembered when humans first went to space. "Yes," she said. "We're winning. Your father and mother didn't die for nothing. Will they come back?" His grandmother didn't answer. Some questions didn't have good answers. In space, the Council fleet was dying. They had entered the system with 35,000 ships. Now they had less than 4,000. And those 4,000 were fleeing, jumping to faster-than-light speed as fast as they could. High Admiral Thexmere, trapped on his crippled flagship, watched his fleet run. He had failed. For the first time in his 1,000-year life, he had failed. A boarding party was cutting through his ship's hull. Human Marines. They were coming for him. The door to his command center exploded inward. Sergeant Yuna Han stepped through, her weapon raised. Behind her, 20 more Marines. They were covered in blood and burn marks. They had fought their way through the entire flagship. "High Admiral Thexmere," Yuna said. "You are under arrest for war crimes against humanity." "You cannot arrest me," Thexmere said. His energy form flickered weakly. "I am the Council's highest military commander. I have diplomatic immunity." "The Council doesn't exist anymore," Yuna replied. "We destroyed it. Now come quietly or we'll drag you." Thexmere looked at her. This small human, this young tiny creature, she had defeated him. Her species had defeated the greatest fleet in galactic history. "How?" he whispered. "How did you win?" Yuna lowered her weapon slightly. "You made a mistake. You thought we were weak because we're young, but we're not weak. We're survivors. We crawled out of caves and conquered a world. We fought each other for 10,000 years and learned every way there is to kill. Then we stopped fighting each other and started fighting together." She looked him in the eyes. "You never had a chance." Back on Earth, Admiral Lee watched the last Council ships flee the solar system. His command center erupted in cheers. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. But the victory was bitter. 40,000 humans had died. 40,000 names that would go on the memorial. Captain Min-Ho Kim, Commander Doyen Kang, Captain Ji-Ho Nam, thousands more. Lee looked at the casualty list and felt old. "Signal all forces. Cease fire! Begin recovery operations," he paused. "And someone contact Ambassador Park. Tell her it's time to go to the convergence. We have terms to deliver." In orbit around Earth, the debris of 2 fleets drifted through space. The Council had come to crush humanity. Instead, humanity had broken them. The message was clear. The galaxy had a new power, and that power would not be threatened. The war was over. Now came the peace, and humanity would dictate its terms. The Council Armada was the largest fleet in galactic history, 45,000 ships after the losses at New Jeju. They moved through space like a swarm of metal insects blotting out the stars. They were coming for Earth, but getting to Earth was not easy. The first Council supply convoy disappeared in the Outer Rim, 20 cargo ships carrying food and ammunition. They just vanished. No distress calls. No wreckage, nothing. The second convoy had an escort. 50 warships protected 100 supply vessels. They felt safe. They were wrong. The Shadow Dancer struck from the darkness. Commander Doyen Kang's stealth ship appeared for 3 seconds. It fired a full spread of missiles. Then it vanished again. The missiles had special warheads that tracked heat signatures. They found the fuel tankers and detonated. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. Doyen watched from a safe distance as the Council ship scrambled. They fired at shadows. They shot at empty space. They never saw him. He slipped away, leaving 50 burning wrecks behind. That's the third convoy this week, Lieutenant Gina Rowe said. She marked another red X on their tactical map. The Council fleet is running out of supplies. Good, Doyen said. Can't fight a war if you can't eat. Can't fire weapons if you don't have ammunition. He plotted their next course. There's a logistics hub in the Deneb system. Let's go say hello. The human strategy was simple. Don't fight the fleet directly. Hit their supply lines. Destroy their food. Steal their fuel. Make them bleed from 1,000 small cuts. It was called guerrilla warfare, and humans had been doing it for thousands of years. The Council had never seen anything like it. Admiral Bora, Shin commanded humanity's second fleet. She was 53 years old with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. Right now, she was studying a hologram of a Council logistics station. It was enormous. It supplied 20,000 Council ships with everything they needed. It's too well defended, her tactical officer said. 300 warships guarded. We only have 40 ships. We can't win that fight, Bora smiled. Who said anything about fighting? 6 hours later, a single human cargo ship approached the Council station. It broadcast a distress signal. This is the merchant vessel Lucky Star, the captain said. We're having engine trouble. Requesting permission to dock for repairs. The Council station commander was suspicious, but the ship looked harmless. Old, slow, no weapons that his sensors could detect. Permission granted. Bay 12, and be quick about it. The Lucky Star docked. Its crew went to work on the engine repairs. They walked through the station, talking and laughing. They seemed like simple traders, harmless. No one noticed them placing small devices in key locations. No one saw the timer attached to each device. No one realized they were walking through a station that had just become a bomb. 30 minutes later, the Lucky Star undocked. Thanks for your help, the captain said cheerfully. Engines are fixed. We'll be on our way. The station commander barely acknowledged them. He was busy coordinating supplies for the fleet. He didn't notice the cargo ship moving away faster than it should have been able to. He didn't see Admiral Bora Shin's entire fleet waiting just beyond sensor range. The devices detonated simultaneously. They weren't big explosions. They didn't need to be. Each one was placed next to a fuel line or ammunition storage or reactor coupling. The small explosions triggered bigger ones. Those triggered even bigger ones. The logistics station tore itself apart from the inside. Admiral Shin watched it die. That's 20,000 Council ships without supplies, she said quietly. They'll have to slow down. Maybe even stop. Where did you learn that tactic? Her tactical officer asked. Ancient Earth history, Shin replied. Something called the Trojan horse. It worked 3,000 years ago. It still works now. Across the galaxy, the Council fleet was discovering that humans fought dirty. Very dirty. In the asteroid belt of the Vega system, Council ships chased a small human destroyer. The destroyer seemed damaged, trailing atmosphere, easy prey. 30 Council ships surrounded it. Then the asteroids opened fire. They weren't asteroids. They were hidden weapons platforms covered in fake rock. The Council ships never knew what hit them. In the Sirius system, a Council patrol found a disabled human freighter floating in space. They approached to investigate. The freighter's reactor detonated, destroying the entire patrol. In the Proxima system, Council ships detected human communications. They traced the signal to its source and attacked. They destroyed the communication relay. They also destroyed the minefield the relay had been marking. 50 Council ships hit the mines and exploded. The Council Fleet Commander, High Admiral Thexmere, watched the reports come in with growing fury. His fleet was the most powerful in the galaxy, but it was being torn apart by an enemy that wouldn't fight fair, an enemy that used tricks and traps and deceptions. These humans have no honor, he said to his officers. They hide in the dark and strike from behind. They poison our supplies and sabotage our equipment. They are cowards. His second-in-command, a veteran warrior, spoke carefully. With respect, Admiral, they are winning. Thexmere turned on him. Winning? We still have 43,000 ships. They have maybe 5,000. How are they winning? Because they're making us afraid, the second-in-command said. Our crews don't sleep well. They jump at shadows. They see enemies everywhere. Morale is breaking. Some ships are asking to go home. No one goes home until Earth is destroyed, Thexmere roared. We are the Galactic Council. We do not run from primitives! But privately in his quarters, Thexmere looked at the casualty reports and felt something he had never felt before. Doubt. On Earth, Captain Minho Kim stood on the bridge of the Indomitable Spirit. His dreadnought was the pride of humanity's fleet. It was also going on a suicide mission. Admiral Hyun-Soo Lee had explained it simply. The Council flagship, the Eternal Judgment, is leading their fleet toward Earth. It's 50 kilometers long. It has weapons that can crack planets. If it reaches our solar system, we're in trouble. So we stop it, Minho said. You delay it, Lee corrected. You can't destroy it. Nothing we have can destroy it. But you can slow it down. Give us time to finish our preparations, Minho understood. This was a one-way mission. He looked at his crew. They had volunteered, every single one of them. They knew they wouldn't be coming back. It's an honor, Minho told them. We're buying time for humanity. We're giving Earth a chance. Our names will be remembered forever. Engineer Tai Hyun-song spoke up from his station. Captain, I've been working on something. A surprise for the Council flagship. If we can get close enough, we can hurt it. Really hurt it. How close? Minho asked. Tai Hyun smiled. Ramming distance, Minho looked at his crew. He saw no fear, only determination. Only the same fire that had driven humanity from caves to the stars. Then that's what we'll do. Set course for the Eternal Judgment. Maximum speed. And someone play some music, something loud. The Indomitable Spirit's engines flared to life. It began moving toward the Council flagship. Behind it, 199 other human ships followed. They were volunteers, all of them. They knew the odds. They knew the cost. They didn't care. Back on Earth, in the underground command center, Dr. Yoonji Choi worked frantically. The gravity well generators were almost ready. The hidden weapons platforms were charged. The solar system's defenses were coming online. But they needed more time. Just a little more time. Admiral Lee watched the tactical display. He saw the Council fleet getting closer. He saw Minho's ships racing to intercept. He saw Earth, beautiful and blue, waiting behind layers of defense. How long until they arrive? He asked. 72 hours, his tactical officer replied. And our preparations? 80 hours. Lee closed his eyes. They needed 8 more hours. 8 hours that Minho's suicide mission would have to buy them. Signal all human forces, Lee said quietly. Tell them to hit the Council fleet with everything. Every ship. Every weapon. Every trick we know. Slow them down. Make them pay for every light year. The order went out across human space. Every captain received it. Every crew understood it. This was the moment. This was when humanity proved what it was made of. The Council fleet had expected an easy victory. They had expected fear and surrender. Instead, they found themselves fighting a war they didn't understand against an enemy that wouldn't die. They were the Hunters. The most powerful military force in galactic history. They had crushed 100 civilizations, but now, moving through the darkness toward Earth, they were starting to feel like prey, and the humans were teaching them a lesson written in fire and blood. Sometimes the young species wins. Sometimes the underdog has teeth. Sometimes the prey fights back, and when humanity fights back, galaxies burn. The colony world of New Jeju was beautiful. Green forest covered the mountains. Blue oceans reflected the light from 2 suns. 50,000 humans called it home. They had built farms and cities. They had raised children. They had made this alien world their own. Now 5,000 council warships hung in orbit above it. Captain Jiho Nam stood on the bridge of his carrier, the Rising Phoenix. Around him, his crew worked quietly. They were calm. Too calm for people about to face impossible odds. "Incoming transmission," said Lieutenant Sohi Bey from the communications station. "Put it on screen," Jiho said. A council commander appeared. It was a Krell, one of the insectoid species. Its compound eyes glittered as it spoke in perfect human language. "Attention, human vessels. You are ordered to stand down and prepare to be boarded. Your colony will be evacuated. Resistance will result in your destruction." Jiho looked at the alien for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Come and take it." The Krell commander's mandibles clicked in anger. "You are outnumbered 50 to 1. You have no chance of victory. Surrender now and you will be shown mercy." "I don't think you understand humans very well," Jiho said. "We don't surrender. We don't break. And we definitely don't show mercy to those who threaten our homes." He leaned forward. "You want New Jeju? You'll have to kill every last one of us first." He cut the transmission. "All ships," he said into his command channel, "execute Battle Plan Reaper. Show them what happens when they threaten humanity." In orbit, the human fleet numbered only 100 ships. Against 5,000, it should have been a massacre. The council commanders thought so too. They moved forward confidently, their formations perfect, their shields raised. Then the humans opened fire and everything went wrong. The first railgun salvo came from the human battleship Thunderstrike. 50 metal slugs, each one moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The council ship's shields were designed to stop energy beams. The kinetic projectiles went through those shields like they weren't even there. 15 council ships exploded in the first 3 seconds. "What?" the Krell commander started to say. Then a missile swarm hit his flagship. The missiles were strange. They didn't explode on impact. Instead, they attached to the hull and burned through it with focused nuclear explosions. The flagship's bridge vaporized. The Krell commander died without finishing his sentence. Captain Jiho watched the battle unfold. His crew worked with perfect efficiency. They had trained for this. They had prepared for this. Every human in the fleet knew exactly what to do. "Enemy formation breaking up," so he reported. "They're confused." "Keep hitting them," Jiho ordered. "Don't give them time to think." The human ships moved like dancers. They were smaller than the council vessels, but faster. So much faster. They appeared, fired, and disappeared before the council ships could target them properly. Human tactics were simple. Hit hard, move fast, never stay in one place. The council fleet tried to adapt. They changed formations. They coordinated their fire. But they were fighting an enemy that didn't follow their rules. Humans didn't broadcast their attack patterns. They didn't announce their movements. They used tricks and traps and deceptions. A group of council ships moved to surround 3 human destroyers. It looked like an easy kill. Then the destroyers launched their full missile loadouts and flew straight at the council ships. They were suicide runs piloted by AI. The real crews had evacuated hours ago. The explosions destroyed 20 council vessels. "They're adapting," so he said. She sounded worried. "They're learning our tactics." "Then it's time for the second wave," Jiho said. He opened a channel to the planet's surface. "New Jeju Ground Command, you are weapons free. Light them up." On the planet below, the city of Busan started to move. Buildings retracted into the ground. Farms slid aside. Underground bunkers opened. And from those bunkers came weapons. Thousands of surface-to-space railguns. Hundreds of missile batteries. Laser arrays that could burn through starship armor. The colonists had been preparing too. Every civilian was a soldier. Every building was a fortress. Every farm hid weapons. The entire colony was a trap, and the council fleet had flown right into it. The second wave of fire hit the council ships from below. They had been focused on the human fleet above them. They weren't ready for an attack from the planet. Shields that pointed up didn't protect against weapons firing from below. Hundreds of ships took damage. Dozens exploded. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation," so he reported. Her voice was excited now. "They're retreating." "Don't let them," Jiho ordered. "Pursuit formation. Kill every ship you can catch." The human fleet surged forward. They had lost 30 ships. The council had lost 800. But the humans weren't done. They chased the retreating council ships, firing until their weapons ran dry. The surviving council ships jumped to faster than light speed and fled. They left their dead behind. They left their wounded. They ran. Captain Jiho watched them go. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from adrenaline, from the knowledge that they had just done the impossible. "Damage report," he said. 30 ships lost, so he replied. Another 20 damaged. Casualties are being counted, and the council? 837 confirmed kills. We damaged at least 300 more. Their fleet is broken. Jiho sat back in his chair. They had won. Outnumbered 50-1, they had won. But the cost had been high. 30 ships meant 3,000 crew members, 3,000 humans who would never see their families again. "Send a message to Admiral Lee," Jiho said quietly. "Tell him New Jeju holds. Tell him we won. And tell him," he paused, "tell him the council bleeds just like anyone else." On the Convergence, the council chamber erupted in chaos. The news from New Jeju had just arrived. 800 ships lost. The fleet retreating. The humans victorious. Impossible. Prime Speaker Vorn's voice was like thunder. "This is impossible. They were outnumbered. They should have been crushed." Counselor Vex Theron's liquid metal body shifted colors from silver to dark red. "I warned you. I told you these humans were different. But you didn't listen. Silence," Vorn commanded. "But this changes nothing. So they won one battle. They got lucky. They used tricks and deceptions. The main fleet will crush them." "The main fleet is all we have left," another council member said. "If we commit everything and lose, we will not lose." Vorn interrupted. "Humanity will be made an example. Send the order. All 50,000 ships. We march on Earth itself." Vex Theron watched the other council members agree. They were angry. They were embarrassed. They had lost for the first time in thousands of years, and their pride wouldn't let them back down. But Vex Theron had studied the battle reports carefully. The humans hadn't won because of luck. They had won because they were better. Better tactics, better weapons, better training, and most terrifying of all, better motivation. The Council's warriors fought for duty. Humans fought for survival. "We should negotiate," Vex Theron said quietly. "Never." Vorn's stone fist crashed down on his seat. "The Council does not negotiate with primitives. We will destroy Earth. We will scatter humanity across the galaxy. We will make them regret the day they laughed at us." The decision was made. The full Council armada, all 50,000 ships, would attack Earth. It would be the largest military operation in galactic history. Vex Theron said nothing more. But as the council members filed out of the chamber making plans for war, he felt something he had never felt before in his 4,000 years of life. Fear. Not for himself. For the council. For the established order. For everything they had built over 10,000 years. These humans were not like other species. They didn't fear death. They didn't respect authority. They didn't follow the old rules. They were something new, something dangerous, something the galaxy had never seen before. And the Council, in its pride and anger, was about to learn what happened when you threatened a species that had spent its entire history perfecting the art of war. The Battle of New Jeju was just the beginning. The real war was about to start, and Vex Theron had a terrible feeling that the Council had already lost. The broadcast went out across every human colony at the same time. The Galactic Council's message was clear: surrender or die. They gave humanity 30 days. They showed images of their massive fleet. They listed their demands. They expected panic. Instead, something strange happened. On the colony world of New Sol, people gathered in the streets to watch the broadcast on giant screens. When it ended, someone started laughing. Then another person. Then everyone. Within minutes, the entire city was laughing. On Mars, a comedian went on live television. "The Galactic Council wants us to surrender," she said with a straight face. "They say they have 50,000 ships. But have they met humans? We fight each other over parking spaces. What makes them think we'll surrender to aliens?" The audience roared with laughter. Across human space, the reaction was the same. Not fear, not panic. Defiance mixed with dark humor. Someone made a meme showing the Council's stone-faced prime speaker with the caption, "Congratulations on making the worst mistake in galactic history." It spread to every human network within hours. Earth's stock markets didn't crash. They went up. In the council chambers on the Convergence, the members watched these reactions with confusion. Councillor Vextheron, a being made of liquid metal that constantly shifted shape, spoke up. "Something is wrong," he said. "They're not afraid." "Why aren't they afraid?" Prime Speaker Vorn's stone face showed no emotion. "They're young and foolish. They don't understand what we can do. They will learn." But Vextheron wasn't convinced. "We should study them more carefully. These humans defeated the Crawl Raiders last year. Those same raiders had terrorized the Outer Rim for a century. The Crawl are pirates, not warriors," another council member said. "Our fleet will crush these humans in days." Vextheron said nothing more. But he wondered if the council was making a terrible mistake. Far from the council's space station, a small ship moved through the darkness. It was painted black. It had no lights. Its engines were silent. This was the Shadow Dancer, the most advanced stealth reconnaissance ship in the human fleet. Commander Doyun Kang sat in the captain's chair and watched his screens. Ahead of him, the council's armada was gathering. Ships arrived every hour. They came from dozens of different star systems, bringing warriors and weapons from across the galaxy. Doyun had been watching them for 3 days. He had taken thousands of scans. He had recorded everything, and what he saw made him smile. "They're old," said Lieutenant Gina Rowe, his tactical officer. She was looking at the same data. "Their technology is old. 3,000 years old, maybe more," Doyun agreed. "Look at their shield harmonics. Look at their weapon cycling rates. This is the same technology they used when they conquered the Velzorians 4,000 years ago." "They haven't updated anything," Gina said. She sounded amazed. "They've ruled for so long they stopped innovating." Doyun brought up another screen. It showed a council battleship's internal structure. The Shadow Dancer's sensors could see through their hulls. "Look at the power distribution. Look at the crew quarters. These ships are built for comfort and show. They're not built for war." "We need to report this," Gina said. "Already sending," Doyun replied. His fingers moved across the controls. Encrypted data shot toward Earth at faster than light speed. "Command needs to know. The Council's reputation is bigger than their actual strength." Back on Earth, Admiral Hyun-Soo Lee received Doyun's report. He read it 3 times. Then he called a meeting. Dr. Yoonji Choi arrived first. She looked tired. She had been working for 72 hours straight. "Please tell me you have good news," she said. Admiral Lee showed her the report. As she read, her tired expression changed. Her eyes grew bright. "They're using old technology," she whispered. "They haven't advanced in thousands of years." "While we've been advancing constantly," Admiral Lee said. "We've been fighting each other for our entire history. Every war taught us something new. Every battle made us better." Captain Minho Kim entered the room. Behind him came Engineer Taehyun Song, the chief engineer of the Indomitable Spirit. They looked at the report together. "Their shields are vulnerable to kinetic weapons," Taehyun said immediately. "They're designed to stop energy beams. But railguns, missiles? Those will go right through." "And their tactics," Captain Kim added. He pulled up battle recordings from Council conflicts 200 years ago. "Look at this. They fly in formation. They announce their attacks. They follow rules of engagement." "We don't follow rules," Admiral Lee said quietly. "We do whatever it takes to win." Dr. Choi stood and walked to the window. She looked out at Earth, blue and beautiful in the sunlight. "They think they're coming to crush a young, weak species. They have no idea what we really are." "What are we?" Captain Kim asked. Dr. Choi turned around. "We're survivors. We crawled out of caves and conquered a planet. We split the atom and reached for the stars. We've been killing each other for 10,000 years and every generation got better at it. Now we're united for the first time in history." She smiled. "They're not fighting a young species. They're fighting 10,000 years of accumulated military knowledge." Admiral Lee pulled up a map of human space. Red markers showed hidden installations. "For 50 years we've been preparing. Every asteroid mining station has weapons hidden inside. Every colony has underground bunkers and defense systems. Every civilian knows how to fight." "When did we start preparing?" Captain Kim asked. "The day we met our first Council patrol," Admiral Lee said. "It was 52 years ago. A Council ship stopped one of our exploration vessels. They were polite but condescending. They told us about the Council. They told us about the rules we'd need to follow. They treated us like children. What did we do?" We smiled, we nodded. "We said all the right things." Admiral Lee's expression was cold. Then we went home and started building weapons. We knew that one day the Council would demand our submission. We decided that day would never come. Taehyun pulled up schematics for Project Reaper. We've built 10,000 hidden weapons platforms. They're disguised as satellites, asteroids, and space debris. Each one has enough firepower to destroy a Council battleship. Our ships are faster, Captain Kim said. Our weapons are stronger. Our crews are better trained. And most important, Dr. Choi added, we're willing to do things they can't imagine. We'll use tactics they've never seen. We'll fight in ways they don't expect. We'll sacrifice what needs to be sacrificed. Admiral Lee looked at each of them. The Council thinks this will be easy. They think we'll see their fleet and surrender. They're wrong. When will they arrive? Taehyun asked. 57 days, Admiral Lee said. Maybe less. Enough time, Dr. Choi said. Enough time to finish our preparations. Enough time to turn our entire solar system into a fortress. She pulled up a hologram of Earth's sun. And enough time to activate the gravity well generators. Captain Kim looked at the hologram. Will they really work? Oh, they'll work, Dr. Choi said. Her smile was fierce. When the Council fleet arrives, half of them won't be able to move. They'll be sitting targets. Across the galaxy, the Council's armada continued to gather. 50,000 ships, millions of warriors, weapons that could destroy planets. The greatest military force in galactic history. And they were sailing toward a trap. In the Council chambers, Prime Speaker Vorn reviewed the fleet reports. Everything was proceeding perfectly. In 50 days, humanity would be crushed. The galaxy would remember this lesson for 10,000 years. No one defied the Council. Counselor Vex Tharon watched Vorn and said nothing. But he felt a cold sensation flowing through his liquid metal body. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. These humans were too confident, too calm, too ready. But when he tried to speak, the other Council members ignored him. They were too busy celebrating their upcoming victory. None of them knew the truth. None of them understood what was waiting for them at Earth. They thought they were going to crush a primitive species. They didn't know they were about to fight the most dangerous species in the galaxy. A species that had been born fighting. A species that had never surrendered. A species that was very, very good at war. The Council had made its choice. Now humanity would teach them the cost of that choice. In blood and fire. In the cold darkness of space, the countdown continued. The massive space station floated in the darkness like a jewel. It orbited a neutron star, and the light from that dying sun made the metal walls glow with strange colors. Ambassador Ji-won Park stood in the docking bay of the Convergence and looked around. She had been to many places in the galaxy, but nothing compared to this. The station was old. Very old. Some parts of it had been built before humans even learned to make fire on Earth. Ji-won touched the wall and felt the cold metal under her fingers. This was the heart of galactic power. This was where the Galactic Council ruled over 23 different alien species. A guide appeared. It was a floating ball of light that spoke in a mechanical voice. Follow me, Ambassador Park, the Council is waiting. Ji-won followed the light through endless corridors. She saw aliens everywhere. Some walked on legs. Some floated. Some crawled on the walls. She recognized a few species from her studies. The tall, thin ones were Velzorians, made of living crystal that caught the light and threw rainbows across the floor. The cloudy forms drifting near the ceiling were Thrum, beings made of gas that thought as one collective mind. The Council chamber was enormous. The ceiling disappeared into darkness high above. 23 seats formed a circle, and each seat held a representative from a different species. In the center of the circle was a platform. That was where Ji-won would stand. She walked to the platform and stood straight. Her heart beat fast, but she kept her face calm. She had been a diplomat for 15 years. She knew how to hide fear. A voice boomed through the chamber. It came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Ambassador Ji-won Park of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council. The speaker was a being made of stone. Living stone. It moved slowly, and when it spoke, dust fell from its mouth. This was Prime Speaker Vorn, the leader of the Council. He had held his position for 3,000 years. The Council has observed your species, Vorn said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. Humanity has spread across 47 star systems in less than 200 years. You have built colonies without permission. You have crossed borders that were established 10,000 years ago. You have ignored our warnings, Ji-won said nothing. She waited. The Council has made a decision, Vorn continued. Humanity will surrender all military ships. You will dismantle your fleet. You will leave 90% of your colonies. You will submit to council governance. You have 30 standard days to comply. The chamber filled with clicking, humming, and buzzing sounds. The other council members were agreeing with Vorn. They had done this before, Jiwan realized. They had made these demands to other species. Those species had surrendered. Jiwan took a breath. Then she asked a simple question. And if we refuse? The chamber went silent. The council members looked at each other. No one had asked that question before. Vorn raised one stone hand. The air above Jiwan's head shimmered. A hologram appeared. It showed space filled with ships. Thousands and thousands of ships. They stretched from one edge of the image to the other, a fleet so large it blocked out the stars. This is the Council Armada, Vorn said. 50,000 warships. Each one is more advanced than anything humanity has built. Each one has weapons that can destroy a planet. Each one is crewed by warriors from species that have never known defeat. The hologram changed. Now it showed a planet being torn apart. Massive beams of energy cut through the world like knives through paper. The planet broke into pieces. Then those pieces turned to dust. This is what happens to those who refuse the council, Vorn said. Jiwan watched the planet die. She watched millions of lives end in seconds. The hologram disappeared and she stood alone on the platform again. 23 pairs of alien eyes stared at her. They waited for her to be afraid. They waited for her to beg. They waited for her to surrender. Instead, Jiwan laughed. It started as a small sound. Then it grew louder. She laughed until tears ran down her face. The council members shifted in their seats. They made confused sounds. No one had ever laughed at them before. Is something amusing, Ambassador? Vorn asked. His voice was cold and hard. Jiwan wiped her eyes. You should have done your homework about humans, she said. Her voice was steady now. You should have studied our history. You should have learned what we are. She turned and walked toward the exit. The guide light rushed after her. Ambassador Park, Vorn's voice boomed. You have 30 days. If humanity does not surrender, we will come to Earth. We will break your worlds. We will make an example of your species that will be remembered for 10,000 years. Jiwan stopped at the door. She looked back over her shoulder. You're welcome to try, she said. Then she left. Behind her, the council chamber erupted in angry sounds. The members shouted at each other in 23 different languages. How dare she laugh at them? How dare she walk away? They were the Galactic Council. They had ruled for 10,000 years. Prime Speaker Vorn raised both hands. Silence fell. Mobilize the Armada, he said quietly. These humans will learn their place. Prepare to make an example of Earth. 3 days later, Jiwan sat in a conference room on Earth. The room was deep underground, protected by layers of concrete and steel. Around the table sat the leaders of humanity's military forces. Admiral Hyun-Soo Lee was a tall man with gray hair and cold eyes. He had fought in the colony wars. He had seen humans die by the thousands. Nothing scared him anymore. So they're really coming, he said. 50,000 ships, Jiwan confirmed. Maybe more. Good, said a woman at the end of the table. Dr. Yoonji Choi was small and thin, with wild hair and wilder eyes. She was the head of humanity's weapons research division. I was hoping they'd be stupid enough to try. Captain Minho Kim leaned forward. He commanded the dreadnought Indomitable Spirit, the most powerful warship in the human fleet. How long do we have? They'll need time to gather their forces, Admiral Lee said. He touched a screen and a star map appeared above the table. Red dots showed the positions of council ships. Maybe 60 days. Maybe 90. Long enough, Dr. Choi said. She smiled, and it was not a nice smile. Long enough to finish Project Reaper. Jiwan looked at the star map. She saw Earth small and blue. She saw the colonies scattered across dozens of star systems. She saw humanity's future hanging in the balance. They think we're weak, she said quietly. They think we'll break. Admiral Lee stood. Then let's teach them what happens when you threaten humanity. He looked at each person around the table. Send the recall order. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon. Bring them all home. Captain Kim nodded. What are we calling this operation? Admiral Lee's expression didn't change. Operation Defiance, he said. We're going to show the galaxy what humans do when someone orders us to surrender. Dr. Choi pulled up another hologram. This one showed Earth's solar system, but it looked different. There were structures everywhere. Weapons platforms, defense stations, hidden installations. We've been building for 50 years, she said. Ever since we met our first Council patrol ship. We knew this day would come. They have 50,000 ships, Jiwan said. And we have something they don't, Admiral Lee replied. We have 10,000 years of experience killing each other. We've perfected the art of war. We know things about violence that they've forgotten, he looked at the hologram of Earth. They're about to learn why you don't threaten a species that crawled out of the mud, fighting every step of the way. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council's armada began to gather. 50,000 ships moved through space, converging on Earth. In the council chambers, Prime Speaker Vorn watched the reports come in. Everything was proceeding as planned. In 60 days, maybe less, humanity would be crushed. He didn't know it yet, but he had made the biggest mistake of his 3,000-year life. He had threatened a species that didn't know how to surrender. He had challenged a species that had been born in fire and blood. He had attacked a species that remembered every war, every battle, every lesson written in the blood of their ancestors. The Galactic Council had ordered Earth's surrender. Humanity was getting ready to teach them why that was impossible. The countdown had begun.